So, real quick, Jeremy Davis. I help people brainstorm their way out of where they are and help them get to where they want to be. Is that because I'm an expert at everything? Not even close. I'm usually the dumbest person in the room. However, I'm really good at asking smart people the right questions, typically because they already know the answer, right? They just need to hear themselves say it and they need to hear someone agree with them. So, what I do is I help you get from where you are to where you want to be. We figure out what that goal is, we better define that goal, and then we break that down into deliverables that you can measure your progress towards completing that goal. That's what this is for. So, I will start by asking both of you, where is it, what is it that you're struggling with the most right now?
I believe at the moment, we're still trying to find the branding and we're getting close to each step of the way. But I think one thing that I personally am trying to figure out is who is our target market going to be? Because in the beginning, I walked in with an attitude, business owners from small to medium, and then I realized they would rather do it themselves, especially when I started my first startup. I didn't give a cahoot about who's offering what service. I wasn't interested. So I'd rather do it myself to save money. So I'm shifting that attitude to try and figure out more, okay, who is our ideal client? Who is our target market? Is it going to be celebrities, freelancers, agencies? And I'd like to figure out that size so that I can know, okay, how should I create an approach to say, okay, listen, we understand the industry. This is what we're anticipating, and this is how we'd like to assist you. And I'm not sure if Rishi wants to add anything to that.
I mean, yeah, from my side, I think it's our target audience because I think me and Johan has been like we both have been a little confused about like what our target audience is going to be. Maybe like it's just business owners or like small influencers or agencies. With time, it's evolving. Like first, I think we started targeting like agencies and stuff, and then we moved towards like individuals, like business individuals who are very busy to like do their own work. That includes like emails and stuff like that. So yeah, I think I agree with Johan on that. I think our main concern for now is like our target audience.
So, who's asking for services that you provide? What kind of people are out there? Where are they talking about this kind of thing? Who's demanding this type of service to the point where you guys thought, yes, this is going to be a good opportunity because everybody needs this, right? Where are those everybody talking about it and what are they saying?
From the research we've done, it's actually interesting because let's out of the surveying and stuff we did about let's 20% of all of our people who did the survey, our feedback said, okay, yeah, they're an agency and they would make use of the service, especially because they don't necessarily want to hire someone and they don't have the capacity to do it themselves. From the other side, we've got local companies such as dentists, doctors, optometrists, those type of people who've got a unit who would love assistance with not necessarily the marketing, but keeping up with social media, posting interesting facts about health, getting bookings, managing the bookings, ensuring, okay, there's a system so that when an email is sent to this email, it could be booked automatically. But it could be for lawyers as well, not necessarily your company that's got 100 employees that's able to hire someone full time to handle these tasks. More of your companies that have got the power, they just don't have the need to hire someone full time.
They don't need someone full time. Okay, so we said a few things here. I heard celebrities, dentists, lawyers, agency owners. Here's the problem that I see with marketing, right? So what is your messaging going to say and how is it going to relate to all of those people, right? Like managing a celebrity's inbox or DMs versus the scheduling of dental appointments for a dentist. Very different. Maybe there's some overlap as far as like inbox management and calendar stuff. I get that, but what ad are you going to run that's going to make a celebrity say, I need to hire them, but it's also going to make a dentist say, I need to hire them? Because they speak very different languages, right? They're very different ICPs. So if you don't have the budget to go full speed on multiple campaigns, right? Because I would assume the ad that you write for celebrities. Let's say you're putting all of your ad budget into one ad campaign, right? Well, who is that going to target? Are you going after celebrities? Too busy? You're getting too many emails, too many DMs. You need someone to manage that inbox. We got you for that. That won't necessarily speak to the dentist, right? And then if you run an ad saying, is your calendar getting too full? Are you booking too far out? Or people no showing? Whatever. We help dentists manage their calendar. That's not going to speak to the celebrity or the lawyer, right? So you could, let's say you have a limited marketing budget, as most people do when they first start out. How do you target all of those different IC? Because, you see what I'm saying? Like, there's a few. You guys are doing what a lot of startups do. They craft the service and then they figure out, hey, who needs this? Right? Yeah, you got some agency owners I guess you guys did a survey, and some agency owners said that they were interested in that. That might be where I focus all my attention, is the agency owner that needs this, and then you target that. That's the important part. What you guys are doing is, instead of throwing the dart at the bullseye, you threw the dart at the wall, and now you're trying to paint the bullseye around it, right? Okay, hey, we got this perfect shot, we got this great thing. Now who needs it, right? So it's kind of backwards, right? So let's ideal world, what's going on? You're on Reddit one day and you stumble upon a subreddit where hundreds of people are complaining that they have too many emails and their calendars crazy and they need that service, right? And you say, aha, let me offer that service, and then I'll just reach out to all of them and then they buy it, right? Because you found the ICP, you found a problem, and now you're fulfilling the problem. Whereas you're fulfilling a problem without knowing how many people have it, who has that problem, and how to target those people. So it's kind of backwards, right? Which is fine. It just means that there's going to be struggles to get started until you define that ICP and they understand that they have that problem. If they're not actively complaining about that problem, you might have to have an education type of marketing, right? Because if they don't understand if they're not looking for a better solution, they might not. Well, if they're not looking for a better solution, then you have to, explain to them why they would need that better solution versus if you if you need a new pair of shoes and Nike pops an ad up, you might click on it. You're like, oh yeah, my shoes are getting old. I need a new pair of shoes. If Nike puts a billboard in a third world country where they have no shoes, or they don't know it, or somewhere where they don't know what shoes are, they're not going to be interested in that ad because they don't understand that they have a need for that. You see what I'm saying? So you need to find people that are actively looking for this type of thing. And then that makes it a lot easier because if they don't know they need it, you have to educate them on it first and then you sell them. That's a lot longer of a sales cycle. Whereas if people are actively already constantly asking for, does anyone know a company that would handle my inbox for me? Does anybody know a company that you find those people and mark and target them? What is that ICP? Who are those people? ICP, it's good to define your ICP as, oh, people that need inbox management and scheduling, right? Yes, but how do you target those people, right? Let's look at this objectively. Let's say we're running Facebook ads, right? What demographics do you put in to find people that have sloppy calendars? You know what I mean? Like, you can find dentists, you can find celebrities, you can, if you target people on Instagram that have over a million followers, right? That's easy to find, that's easy to categorize, easy to organize. How would you target specifically people that have messy inboxes and need calendar management, right? Like, how do you find that person? That's the question, because if they're not out looking for it, then you got to go find them. And then, I mean, it could be, you could walk by five people on the street that need that, but you wouldn't know because they're not grouped in some way. And when you do marketing online, you need to find that group, whether it's through an ad, content you put out there, and then they come to you. What is the marketing strategy right now? How do you plan on finding people?
I think Rishi will be the best person to answer that, as he's got the most marketing knowledge between the two of us.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I think for the marketing, we would have used like two different platforms for different type of marketing. I think for targeting like influencers and celebrities, we would have gone for Instagram, like people who have over 1 million followers or something like that. For
Wow, I'm a
business
good guesser.
professionals, I think we would have used LinkedIn because I think it would be easier to find busy people on LinkedIn. Basically, people who have over, let's say, 10,000 connections and a very good and active LinkedIn. So I think that would be the way to find the professional people who want inbox management and stuff like that. So that was something that I was planning to target different audiences on different platforms, if that makes sense.
I got a fun question. If these influencers and celebrities inboxes are so cluttered and slammed that they need your services, how are you going to message them to the point where they are organized enough to see your message? Like if I got 10,000 unread emails and
Mm-hmm.
you guys pop up in a cold email, you see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Like
that
if
that
I have
is
a
a very
zero, if I
put
have
it very
inbox
well.
zero and you guys pop up, that's a lot. There's a pretty good chance I read your email. But if someone's DMs are flooded on Instagram, you cold DMing them?
I mean, instead of cold DMing, I think emails would be easier because I think for emails there's always an extra step and that like filters out a lot of people. So what we could have done is we could have used their business emails to send out the emails for the inbox management services because I
Yeah, I'm
think
very
the
familiar with cold email. I mean, cold email already has here's the problem. Cold email already has a pretty low conversion rate, right? That's why you do it in such large quantities.
that's true.
But you're specifically trying to target people who have fucked up inboxes, and you're going to send them something to their inbox.
About
Do
it
you
that
have do you have a problem carrying too many things at one time? Let me throw something on top of it, right? I
Uh,
think I don't think that is a good my opinion, right? And if you're the marketing guy, you probably know better than me. I don't think that that seems like an effective approach. I would
yeah.
rather maybe pull more inbound by making content, right? Showing someone going from chaos to clarity, right? Or there's going to be a good you need to have a good marketing strategy, especially since that's the type of people that you're looking for. Who else offers something similar or adjacent to what you guys are offering? Other types of productivity, clarity stuff. I'm thinking like motion, and I think there's an AI tool for inbox management called like Fixer or something right now. Have you seen
yeah,
Fixer
Fixer
AI?
AI.
Yeah, have you seen these tools? What is their demographic? Who are they targeting?
Fixer AI, from what I've seen, I started seeing their ads pop up now the past couple of days, and I did some research on it, and I was wondering as well. It seems like they're targeting more private emails,
I get
targeting
I
especially
see them on Facebook every day. I get targeted by them, but
in
I don't know why
every
I'm in their
each and every
demographic.
message. I also don't know why. I think they've got the whole world as a demographic. But I think what they're targeting, based on what I've noticed and what I've checked on their websites, they're targeting more personal emails, trying to get your spams in the correct spam folder, showing you which ones are important, which ones are dates, which ones are invoices, and those type of things. But they're not really focusing
Don't
on businesses.
don't confuse. I'm not necessarily comparing services. That's not my thing, right? I'm saying the types of people that they're reaching out to feels like it would be the same types of people you're reaching out to, right? That's what I'm saying. Not necessarily saying that their service is the exact same thing or better or worse than yours. I don't give a shit what they offer, right? What I'm talking about is who are they trying to get that message to, and how are they finding that audience, right? A great way to be successful is to find someone who's already successful and copy what they're doing, right? You need to find your own identity. However, don't don't confuse I need to stand on my own 2 feet with, hey, if something's already working, let's ignore that and do our own thing, right? So if they're having success targeting a specific type of person, that and that's working for them, then that's something similar that you have to do. Maybe they are targeting personal people in their personal inboxes, right? Okay, but how are they doing that? How are they finding those people? I've never filled out a survey that said that I have a cluttered inbox, but somehow Fixer AI is sending me messages. Well, I'm seeing their ads, right? Why am I seeing their ads? What are they targeting so that I see their ads, right? So what the type of person you want to work with, right? Find out what they're seeing. What kind of competitor ads are they seeing, right? So if you had a celebrity that you're working for, either pro bono or they're a paid client, what is it that they are seeing and why are they being targeted, right? Are they being targeted by Fixer AI or any other service similar? What is it that you could say to them that, how do you find them? That's the question. How do you find the correct ICP? Because you guys are doing this a little bit backwards, right? You define the service before you define the ICP. You need to know who you're selling to before you sell them something, right? Every CEO has this issue. Awesome. If every CEO is going through this issue, let me create a service or product that will solve that problem. Because then I know I'll just target every CEO. Yeah, maybe some of them won't be interested, but I know that every CEO has this problem. Therefore, I'll sell that. Every runner needs a good pair of running shoes, right? I don't assume they need a good pair of running shoes. I know they need a good pair of running shoes because they talk about running shoes all the time. There's stores specifically for shoes just for runners, not fashion, but just running apparel, right? Know that if I open a store specifically for runners, that shoes will work and I can target them for shoes because I know they need them. I don't necessarily know that someone that doesn't talk about running all the time needs running shoes. They probably need dress shoes, casual shoes, that kind of thing. But if I'm specifically selling running shoes, I want to target runners because they need them, right? Who needs this and what type of person you have to define your ICP. That's the most important thing. So I would talk with someone who is great with positioning. There's one in furlough. His name's Sebastian. He would probably be the best person to talk to about this. I can make that introduction. I'm also recording the call, buddy. You don't have to write everything down. Yeah,
I
but
love making notes because I remember
sure.
it
Hey,
clearly
hey,
afterwards.
whatever works, whatever works. But yeah, but Sebastian, I'll make the introduction. That might be the best thing I could do for you guys. Is anything else needs to happen after you define who you want to reach out to, right? Because you might go, and you'd rather go 100% down one road than 20% down five roads, right? Let's run some ads to lawyers, let's run some ads to dentists, let's run some ads to celebrities, and maybe one of them will get better results, so then we'll go all in on that one. If you either have to be able to afford that, but if you have limited marketing dollars, I would rather you put them all in one direction, knowing what's going to work, right? You're selling running shoes. You got to find your runners, right? So, who absolutely needs this? Who's asking for this type of thing online, right? Have you found people complaining about this on Reddit, or have you found people posting on X about, I need someone to run my inbox. You know what I'm saying? Like, who's actively asking for this? Not you ask them if they need it and they say yes. Who's complaining about it to the point where you like, oh, there's a guy on Reddit. I need to DM him because his complaint is the exact thing that we offer, right? You got to find those people. Or it's an education game and that's a longer sales process. I'm not saying that that's bad. There's new products that pop up all the time and people just don't know that they need it. But it's like, you have this problem. Yeah, I do have this problem. This is what it results in. We can prevent that, right? So it's an education thing. Whereas if you're looking for things, I talked to a guy he does web development, right? And his strategy was to sell websites to companies that don't have a website. Okay. So it's 2025. Everybody can have a website, even if they have like a simple
None.
GoDaddy or Wix or something plain that they did for themselves and they took 10 minutes and then they pushed it. He was targeting people with nothing. If you've been in business in 2025 and you've been in business longer than like 2 years and you don't have a website, you probably don't want a website or feel you don't need a website. So first, before he can sell them a website, he has to explain to them why it would be a good idea to have a website. He has to convince them of that, and then he sells it, right? So it's a longer cycle. Whereas I asked him what he thought about going after people who already have a website, but they have shitty websites. Well, at least they already know they need one. because they have one. But they also probably know that their website is shit because it either doesn't do anything for them, or they know that links are broken, but they don't know how to fix them because the web guy is like someone's nephew. You know what I'm saying? Like, at least they know they need a website. And then it's like, hey, you have a website. Let me show you what's broken and I can fix all that for you. Much easier, much quicker sales process, right? Because they already understand that they need it. If someone doesn't know they even need your service, that's going to take a long time to close them. But if someone's actively looking for it, that's a much easier conversation to have. Yeah, I'm looking for someone to do this. Yeah, we can do it. Now let's talk numbers. Done. Right? Here's some testimonials, here's some numbers. But if I don't even know that I need this service, first I got to probably be retargeted multiple times and explained why I do need this service. And then I would be interested in booking a call and hiring somebody for this, right? But yeah, if they don't even know they need it, then you need to find people who know they need this service. Who are your competitors? You can't be the only ones doing this.
Oh, was that a question? Sorry.
Yeah, who are your
Um,
competitors? Who else does this?
so we've got, based on our competitors, I've got a long list of them, but I can't remember any names directly now. But our two biggest competitors is Fiverr and Upwork. Those two
Fiverr's
are
a little
straight up our
difficult because
biggest.
how many searches so what do people search on Fiverr? Let's just pull it up together. What do people search on Fiverr to find service like yours? I'm on
So
Fiverr and I'm interested in your service, but I don't know you exist, so I go to Fiverr. What do I type in?
a virtual assistant is the top search
Okay.
service. So basically there, because based on the prices, I spoke to you a couple of weeks ago, I think, or a couple of months actually.
Yeah.
And we had a chat and you gave me some insight regarding that. Whatever I'm trying to offer, back when it was still planned to be a virtual assistant agency, there
Mhm.
is someone from a very, very, very poor third world country that can offer it for $2 if Fiverr would have allowed it. So for us, that was one big straight out, straightforward point that says, okay, listen, we need to, we can't just be doing something like they're doing on Fiverr, and we can't always just be using something. We have to add an extra level of, well, not authenticity, an
See,
extra selling point to what we do want to offer. But our biggest competitors is one, Fiverr and
Upwork, online jobs, anywhere. So if we're matching VAs, that's different, right? Because there's I mean, I just typed in virtual assistant on Fiverr. There's 32,000 plus results of people that are offering virtual assistants. I bet that's the busiest category on Fiverr, right?
it is,
Which
it
is
is,
good because that means that there's a need for it, right? So that's a lot different. Now, if we're talking about virtual assistant, if we're calling it that, then that becomes a little bit easier to target. There's a lot of those, I get a lot of those ads as well, right? So if you're going after business professionals who need a virtual assistant, now what role specific, right? That's what I would look at because then you can start to create lists of those types of people. Dentists. Dentist needs a virtual assistant? Sure, maybe. Well, I don't know, right? But if that's what your research and that's what you guys talking determines that it's, we need to focus on dentists, well, shit, that's easy, right? Because you can find every I mean, you can just pull lists from Google Maps or wherever your dog's trying to get out. Oh,
sorry,
your
just
dog just turned the
give me a
doorknob.
quick second.
Your dog turned the doorknob and got out. That is awesome.
Sorry, just give me a second. Yeah, it's just
I think your dog just
flatmates.
let her in. Did I just see that right? On the
That's
door, the
Shepherd,
dog
so
opened.
probably
That's awesome. You don't
she's
need
a
a VA.
well-trained
You got
puppy.
a dog as a butler. Does he bring you drinks?
Unfortunately, not without spilling.
You're too critical of the help.
But yeah, so we were thinking, especially with virtual assistants, we don't necessarily want to brand ourselves as that because I'm afraid of you thinking, okay, all we're gonna do is we're gonna take other virtual assistants and add markup on it. What we what we plan to do is to take it a step further, is we offer you a virtual assistant, but not just one person, you've got a group. You've got 24-hour service assistants, you've got 24-hour assistants, if that makes sense. And you've got a key accounts manager with a couple of different people working on the project. So it adds a
So
layer of
so
trust, if that makes sense.
it's an outsourced team of what? And don't tell me virtual assistant. It's an outsourced what team?
So the team The team
assistant?
we've got going on, we've got operational and administrative. That's my side of the business that I deal with because I've got a bit of knowledge and experience with that, as well as I wouldn't say qualifications, but I've got a bit of background in it. On the marketing and outreach side, it's Rishi because he's got great experience on that side. And for talent acquisition, we've got a advisor within the organization that would be able to assist us per booking to try and get per project. And for the legal side of things, we've got a lawyer on this side that also offers his service per booking, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's two of them are outsourced, two of them are in-house.
So yeah. So more problems I see, right? If you 24-hour service, that means there's going to be handoffs. How do things not get missed? You got to have someone that an account manager that oversees that. I get all that. We'll talk about that kind of stuff later. You got to figure out your ICP. I would talk to somebody who specializes in positioning for that. The person I would suggest would be Sebastian from Furlough. I'll make that introduction.
I would appreciate that.
Yeah, he can get he. I've worked with him in the past. Has like forms and questionnaires that help understand exactly what's going on, what you're trying to do, and then he defines down to like how old they are, what niche they're in, what their role is, where you should be talking to them. Even help with like content strategy based on like what it is that you're doing and who you're trying to target. So that helps with content as well. So a positioning thing like that would probably be the best thing that I could suggest for you guys at this point, right? Bringing people in. Then, if you've got a team of people that are working, let's say it's me, let's say I'm the CEO of a company and I need help with my inbox and maybe across a sales team. I don't know. Let's say I need 24 round the clock service, right? Then that has its own issues. There's handoffs, there's touch points, there's, if one person's shift ended and they're in the middle of doing something, they have to make sure the next person understands where they left off so nothing gets missed. There's a lot of that kind of stuff going on when you have handoffs on round the clock service. I have a client right now that does property management that has a bit of that issue because they do 24/7 support for their properties. But yeah, positioning, that's the most important thing you could do right now. Figure out who you're selling to. Because after that, then everything falls into place, right? Or, well, you'll have more issues, but that's the biggest thing right now. How do you find a client if you don't know what that client looks like, does, how big their company is? Are they by themselves? Is it a celebrity or a dentist? Those are very different. The different needs. Like I said, probably some overlap, but they're very different as far as how you communicate with them, what they expect, price point. I have a dentist with one office, or I've got a celebrity with 5 million followers on Instagram. I bet they're going to be. I would probably charge differently for those two, right? Kim Kardashian hires you guys. You pay. Is she paying the same thing that a dentist in Boston is paying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I
Oh,
got one dental office and I got three assistants that work in my dental office and I'm paying the same as Kim K. Like, that doesn't make sense, right? Because one, she's going to need way more than that guy does. So you're going to have, so how do you market to both of them? You don't. You have to market to one or the other. So you got to figure out who that best client base is.
deal.
Right. Yeah. I mean, can everybody use it? Yeah, probably, but you don't have the money to target. Let's say you have five different ICPs: dentist, lawyer, celebrity, CEO, something else, right? If you had the budget, you could run a campaign with specific messaging for each one of them, drive it back to a different landing page for them to book a call with you, right? But if you can't afford to do that 5 times at the same time, right? I would rather you have one ICP and you focus everything on that, right? Because you'll get farther with that. And then once you're successful there, then you guys have a conversation and you say, hey, should we look at adding a second ICP? Yes, we can afford, we're successful with the first one. We're doing well. We're profitable. Now let's put some money towards a second ICP and then we go from there, right? I'd rather you have, we call that a beachhead. You have to attack in one place and then spread out. Because if you spread your troops too thin across the whole beach, right, then you don't penetrate as deep. You want to penetrate one market deep And then once you're successful with that, then you spread out. So what you would do, so let's say you go after dentists first, right? So you attack dentists and you get successful with dentists. You have options then. Do we offer dentists who we already know, we already have relationships with, we know how to talk to them? Do we offer them additional services, or do we offer the services that we already offer, but also to lawyers now? Right? So you can go either deeper or you can go wider based on the success that you have with one ICP, but you should focus on one first. You see what I'm saying?
I see what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah, you got 10 dental clients because dentist is working for you. You're like, okay, well now we offer this additional thing to dentist. And then we try to resell, we try to upsell our current clients. And we also now we're a full package, full service concierge service for dental offices, right? Or you offer the same thing to a secondary ICP and see if that works out. You test the waters, you start testing other ICPs, but you need to focus on one first, and you got to figure out what that is pretty quick.
Yeah. So no, I definitely understand what you're saying. You've got a massive point there, especially with the beachfront example and
Beachhead.
with all
Yep.
of those things. Listening at it, you've got a massive point because now I'm having kind of that like mental mindset attitude change, where I'm starting to understand, okay, I could be making the lawyer interested, but the dentist might not understand what my post is meaning. And I think
A
is
different
definitely
lingo.
something that we should,
You're gonna have industry terms, right? I mean, like there's a guy in furlough, I'm sure you know Rob. Rob only
yeah,
builds
web leads.
websites for insulation contractors. Very niche, right? I bet he's the only person that focuses web development for insulation contractors in the world, right? That's so random and so
Yeah.
niche. But he's the guy. So what did he do? He decided to go deeper into insulation, and now he offers SEO and ads and things like that. But he went deeper into the same niche. He's talked about doing other kinds of contractors and home services companies, but he went deeper into one niche versus spreading himself wider across multiple niches and do websites for that because he already knows insulation contractors. He's talked to many of them. He knows their lingo. He knows their pricing because he's built calculators for them. So he can keep offering those guys the same service and more services because he only focuses on that one niche. You don't necessarily have to niche it down. That's the route he's going. He could have taken the web development and then started offering web development to other people, other types of ICPs. But that would have also probably been a viable option. And then you see which one of those is successful, and then you go deeper down that one, right? So, but yeah, if you know if you figure out which one it makes the most sense for you guys first, then you just attack that all in, and then you go deeper or wider when the time comes, and you'll know when that is. It's when everything it feels good, it feels right,
I see,
you
I
know.
see, I see. No, that's definitely valuable insight. So you're saying we should definitely contact and communicate with Sebastian, try and get him to consult us on finding a position for ourselves in the market, while at the same point trying to dim our market, trying to figure out, okay, who do we plan on targeting? Not just business owners from small to medium to large, specifically what industry, ideal clients.
Yeah. Sebastian can probably explain better than I could, right? But I would say you need to have it defined to a point where you can run ads to it, right? Small, medium-sized business owner. Yeah, you could probably run a Facebook ad to that, but it would be if you had a more specific ICP, then you know every like let's say you went dentist, right? Well, shit, I bet there's dental publications, there's magazines that they subscribe to. You could run an ad in that, right? But a lawyer would never see your ad in a dental magazine unless they're
That's
sitting in
true,
the
that's
waiting room
true.
and they're reading it in the waiting room while they're waiting for their dental appointment, you know? But yeah, you know, if you know your ICP, there's way more than just Facebook ads and Google ads. You go to dental conferences. Rob went to an insulation conference. He went to a convention center for insulation contractors, and he builds fucking websites. But his ICP was going to be there, so he bought a booth. It made sense for him. He got deals out of that, right? So that's because he knew his ICP. It's not, you know, he went exactly where they were. He found a conference that they would be at, and he went there and he set up a booth. Perfect, right? Because he
Yeah,
knew
you
his
hit them in
ICP.
the
where do you go for small and medium business owners, right? Like, yeah, maybe you do like, there's a lot of those types of groups, but the more you understand about your ICP, the better you can do. And if your ICP is vague, then it's hard to understand that person specifically. You should think of your ICP as one person, right? Like Dan the dentist. What is Dan like? What does Dan do? How does Dan communicate with other dentists? Where does he find out about new practices? Where does he spend his time on the internet? Does he go to events? Like what events does he go to? Should I be at those events, right? Because when you understand your ICP to that level, you can start to figure out those other things, right? That will set you
Yeah,
aside.
I see. No, that's brilliant.
Where do we go from here?
That's just what I was about to ask you. So and now we've designed our ICP. Then a step after that is
Yeah, Rishi gets the work
focus.
done. Your marketing bro gets the work done.
Focus onto that ICP. So we target them. We
Yes.
go out to, let's say, electricians. We go to expos. We go to those type of things. We set up booths. We target them. We speak the language. We post tutorial videos on how to install a light bulb, stuff like that. Grab their
You become,
attention.
yeah,
Grab kind of like a hub for interesting things. From there, now we've grabbed their attention. How do we focus on our services? Do we start with vague services? Do we expand on services? Like I've got when I was doing my prices, I tried getting out the prices for everything we want to offer. And I started while I was typing it and while I was figuring out how much for ad hoc, how much everything is gonna cost, I realized if I sent this price list to you, you're not even gonna take a look at it. You're just gonna see, okay, there's a lot of services and there's a lot of zeros there.
yeah, it's like a menu, right?
So exactly, yeah. It's basically like a restaurant menu. You're not gonna have a look at it. You're gonna tell me, okay, listen, your favorite food is pasta. Do we do pasta and how much is it? You're not even gonna check the menu for it. So I'm trying to figure out how do we take now we've got that client. How do we know what to charge them as a service provider? Because I've worked in the
Mm.
retail industry for quite some time. I buy this thing for $10. I know that my monthly expenses come into that, and then this comes in, so I need to sell it for 17 to $18. And it's percentages, and this is why I'm charging it. The service is a bit more difficult because I understand I charge per hour, for example. The services will be billed per hour or per project. But how do we know what to charge per hour? How is that
Mm.
something that we could calculate, if that makes sense?
Yeah. You got to know your expenses because marketing isn't free, right? So it's not just, oh, I pay them $5 an hour, so I'm going to charge $10 an hour, right? Well, out of those $5 an hour that you're making, how much did it cost to land that client, right? How much does it cost to land the next client? Because the money that you make off your first client, you're going to use a portion of that to try to find your second client, right? So you have to understand what your expenses are. Financial modeling is important. What kind of expenses do you have outside of the hourly rate of the people that would be, the VAs, for example?
We've got because there was a specific funnel or a graph that was used for it. I just can't remember the name, but it shows you, okay, this is the cost of the service, this is the cost of your monthly expenses, this is what you charge, and then you make, let's say, 10 to 15% margin above that.
Sure.
So I understand, let's say with the website, we've got the website costs, we've got meta ad costs, we've got these costs. Those are, let's say,
I'm
the
guessing you're
monthly
going to want to
costs.
make some money off this as well. So we have salaries, not just the VAs, but you're going to want to take money out of this as well. You got a nice house behind you that needs paid for. Uh, there's a lot of things there as well, right? So, is this a volume game where you need to sell as many clients as possible for this because your margins are thin? Pricing is very important. You can price yourself out. That's why, a lot of software companies do that. Well, software might not be the best example because they're pretty high, they're typically high margin. However, if you're setting your price purely based on your competitor, what if your competitor's margins are super thin and then you just undercut them? You're probably pricing
And
yourself out.
then
Let's say you let's flat rate, no hourly shit. Let's say that you charge 500 service. However, it costs you $600 to provide that service. The more you sell, the quicker you're going out of business because you're losing $100 every time you close a deal. So you need to understand your costs and you need to put those into consideration as well. So I would list everything that you need to, like, what it costs you to run for a month. And let's say 24-hour service, right? Let's say you're providing a service for one client for a month. What is the service to what are all of your expenses for that month and what are you charging for that, right? That's what I would look at first. What does it cost you to run your business monthly basis? Where's your break even point? That's an important number to know, right? Are you breaking even at one client? Are you profiting off each client or do you need two clients in order to be profitable? I would
I
hope that each
see.
client is profitable, right? So, you know, you have it like if you're charging $500 and you're making 450, you're making $50 a client, right? Probably not a lot of money. You either need to sell a ton more clients, which means more VAs and more ads, and it all going to grow. But you need to figure out what your margins are based on what your expenses are, what you're paying out, and what's coming in. Figure out what those two numbers are and what the difference is.
I really found a lot of insight on this. Is there anything else that you would advise that we discuss? Is there anything else that you would be able to give suggestion to this type of theme? Because I've run out of questions, quite frankly. This is
So you need to know what your costs are, right? Because, like I said, if it costs you $600 to provide $500 worth of service, you're going to go out of business, right? It's called your business is costing you money, right? You see that with bars often, but sometimes bars will be losing money on a monthly basis, right? They're not selling enough, and then they have salaries and rent and overhead that cost them more than what they bring in. So eventually they go out of business because they're operating at a deficit. Well, if you charge too little and you're paying out too much, you're doing the same thing, right? So you have to make sure that you're profitable. I would say each client, whatever your margins are, figure out what it costs you to deliver service for one client and make sure that there's enough profit there that keeps you in business. So, but without knowing what your expenses are, it's a shot in the dark. Figure out what it costs you to support one client and then charge them more than what it costs you to support them
I see. So
while
it's kind
staying
of the same
competitive.
like
Good
retail.
luck.
It's not just the cost of the product, it's also shipping, how to get it to your store, it's your Wi-Fi, your water, your groceries. It's basically everything put up into one divided by the amount of clients you're looking for break-even point.
Yeah, some of those
Um,
costs are going to be per client. Some of those costs are going to be per month, like rent, right? Like if you had, like, or internet or software services that you're using, probably charge you monthly. Or hey,
Sorry, just give me a second.
I'm just kidding. I'm sorry. I'm an asshole.
Okay. So yeah, I believe I don't want to keep your hour. I'm just afraid you're gonna start sending me invoices for
Yeah, include that in your cost analysis.
yeah.
No, you're on the right track. You need to understand who you're selling to, and then you need to understand what you're going to sell it for. Those are two very important questions that you ask at the beginning of starting a business, and that's where you're at, right? So you need to understand who you're selling to, you need to understand what you're going to sell it for, and you need to understand what your margins are on that. And any investor is going to ask that, any partner you bring in is going to want to understand that, and you need to know those numbers. Anytime someone asks you what your profit margins are, you should have an answer for that. Well, it depends. No, you need to know your numbers, right? Know your numbers. And then if you don't know the numbers, you can't measure improvement or decline, right? So if you know your numbers, then you can say, okay, well, our margins are 20%. How do we get our margins from 20% to 30%? Where can we cut costs and still provide good service? Maybe we landed a couple clients and then we switch from monthly billing on our software to annual billing because that usually gives you 2 months free, right? Because they charge 10 months for annual versus most of them will give you a discount if you pay for the year in advance, right? That's a great first move for someone who's making good money. Switch all of your annual or your monthly billing services to annual billing and you'll save money that way. It's more upfront, but you save money in the long run, right? Boom. Okay, now we save money. Now we got 2 months free on every one of our software. Well, now our margins are better. Yeah, we took the hit up front, but over time we're going to save a lot of money. Our margins are getting better. Where else can we look? Okay, well, maybe we're paying for two tools that do kind of the same thing. Let's make a decision on just keeping one of them and getting rid of the other. We don't need, we don't need Notion and ClickUp. Let's cancel Notion or let's cancel ClickUp, right? We don't need both because they do similar things. Yeah,
Yeah.
you start looking at your expenses and where you can cut costs, and you use that, and you do that across each team. You talk with Rishi, you talk with other people that you're offering, um, you know, and then the other way as well. Oh, this VA has been with us for a very long time, and they're an absolute rock star, and now they want more money. Okay, well now we need to keep them, so we need to pay them more. Same thing, right? So it's back and forth, up and down. You got to figure all those things out, but you can't make those decisions on do we switch to annual billing or do we pay this person more if you don't know what your profit margin, if you don't know what your numbers are. You're just guessing at that point, right? So you need to
Yeah,
understand what
that's
your
true.
costs
That's
are.
true. No,
Yeah.
definitely. I think that we still have a lot of research going up ahead. I
Divide and
think,
conquer.
yeah,
There's two of you. There you
four
go.
of us, but one is just more of advisor.
Yeah, the advisor probably isn't doing research, but yeah, maybe, I don't know. But yeah, divide the workload, right? You got things to figure out. Figure out your ICP first and then go all in on that person. All in on that dentist, electrician, celebrity, whatever you guys decide. I know I said dentist a lot. Don't let that persuade you into a route that isn't necessarily the best one for you. Whatever that thing is, whatever that ICP is, go after that all in. That's what you have to do, right? And you'll learn from that. And you'll make some money,
Yeah,
and then you figure out what's working and what's not, and you double down on the things that are working, and you'll make more money.
I mean, you keep
It'll be
adjusting
fun.
up until you've got a point where everything is running smoother and smoother. I like that.
Yeah. And when the ops get too crazy, give me a call.
Okay, I'll definitely do. Thanks, Jeremy. I really appreciate it. I just want to check in with Rishi if he's got
He said his
anything
doctor's
else he'd like.
there. His doctor came to him. That's pretty cool. We don't get that here.
Yeah, no, we also don't. Oh, we've got that here as well. Yeah, they call it a house call.
Yeah, no, we got to book. We got to book doctor appointments like 6 months out. Oh, he's admitted.
Oh,
Oh, he's at. Oh, sorry. It's crazy. All right.
but
Yeah.
yeah,
Well, buddy, you can reach out to me anytime. So I would say, so what I'm gonna do from here is I'm gonna create a group chat with you and Sebastian, introduce the two of you, and then I'll dip out of that chat so you guys can figure out how to work together, if you're gonna work together, all that kind of stuff. I'm just making the introduction. And
I would
then you need to
appreciate it.
figure out your costs as well. So if it doesn't work out with Sebastian, if he's too expensive or you guys don't get along or whatever, you still need to figure out what your ICP is. So either with help or on your own, but figure out who that is and then attack that ICP with everything you guys got.
So I just want to confirm one thing before I'm completely misunderstanding it. ICP means ideal client
Profile. Yeah.
positioning profile. That's the
Profile.
last
Yeah.
thing.
Think of one, everything you do should be towards one person. Dan the dentist, Kim the celebrity, right? What does Kim want? What does Kim like? Where does Kim hang out on the internet? What is important to Kim? How much time is Kim spending on her inbox? Does Kim need 24-hour service? You should be having all of those conversations about marketing and service offering about a specific person, right?
Yeah.
And and then everything is marketed towards that person, at least until you look to spread.
I think I walked in with an idea and I'm walking out with many more.
We call that an aha moment.
Yeah, an aha moment.
Yeah.
But no, thanks so much, Jeremy. I appreciate it.
Yeah, of course. Anytime. Just keep kicking spammers out of furlough, and we're good. I
This
love
was
that I
this
have
was a
help with that
powerful
now.
session.
I know. Yeah, I don't know why they gave it to me, but yeah. No.
But no.
Yeah. I wish you the best of luck, and I'll start that group chat with you and Sebastian now. Also, if you want the recording of this, I will get you the link to that because it's being recorded in the cloud as well.
I would love that. And if you're gonna post on LinkedIn, I'd love to be mentioned. Possible. I assume
Yeah.
you're
Yeah.
going to.
Yeah. Probably be. Yeah. I'm doing some clipping stuff. I have an intern now who's helping me with like clipping
Nice.
videos and stuff. Yeah. Pretty neat. But yeah, it'll probably be YouTube if anywhere. but let you
But
know.
I'll definitely share it to my side as well. Say, hey guys, thanks so much. This is what I
I
experienced.
have
You
a I have a
explained me.
testimonial thing. I'll send you a link to it. I'd appreciate one
Okay,
video
yeah.
or written. Yeah, I appreciate you. All right, cool. Hey,
Okay.
I'll connect you with Sebastian now, and then figure out what your costs are per client.
Okay, and the ICP. Okay, thanks so
Yep.
much, Jeremy. I appreciate it. This was powerful. That's all I'm gonna say.
Awesome. All right, you take care, buddy. I'll
Okay,
talk to you soon.
same to you. Bye.
Yep. Bye.